if you do this very specific breathing technique that I show you at the very specific amount of time, it's going to unlock a cheat code. And the brain goes into something called transient hypofrontality. The lungs begin to microdose something called dimethyltryptamine. And people have these mystical, profound experiences from breathing because they tapped in to this power within them that was innately, it was already there. And, on that journey, I had health complications. There was an issue with my stomach that doctors couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. They couldn't even diagnose me. And I was spending tens of thousands of dollars on just co-payments from the best doctors from LA to New York. And they couldn't fix me. I took every test under the sun, colonoscopies, endoscopies, swallowed pill cameras. I didn't even know they had pill cameras, but you swallow these cameras and it goes down your belly, all through your intestines and looks at everything. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And they couldn't find anything. And I was suffering. And it was so bad to really paint the picture of how bad it was. It was my second time checking myself into the ER at LA County Hospital. And the second time I said, cut my stomach open, tell me what's going on. I'll sign a waiver. I just need you to go inside because you're missing it, whatever it is. And I thought it was like a stealthy, like parasite that was like hiding in like my liver or something. Because I was in India and I was in places like Thailand, and I don't know, my brain was desperate. And thank God they did not cut me open, because it was shortly after I discovered this ancient deep diaphragmatic breathing technique. And I did this session, and in one session, it completely eradicated my stomach condition and I was healed.
Hey there, it's Sandee Sgarlata. Get ready to dive deep into incredible stories of people who've taken life's challenges and turned them into a roadmap to happiness. On this show, we're not just talking about overcoming obstacles. We're uncovering the real, gritty secrets to living a life filled with peace, joy, and genuine happiness. This is Happiness Solved. So let's get started, because happiness is a choice, and the choice is yours. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I'm here with Kurtis Thomas. How you doing, Kurtis?
I'm doing amazing. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So Kurtis is a distinguished corporate mindfulness trainer and influential public speaker with a track record of working with Fortune 500 companies and prestigious organizations like Nike, NASA, and the Capital Group. That's pretty impressive. And your work gained his company Breathwork Detox the recognition of being named top employee well-being provider of 2023 by HR Magazine. Those are really amazing accolades. Congratulations. So tell us, how did you get to this point? What is your backstory? Because especially with your company called Breathwork Detox, there's got to be something behind that, right? Like, people just don't wake up and be like, I'm going to call my company this. You obviously are into that line of work. And how did you get to that point?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how far to go back. So, there's like, when I was first starting out, let's say, so 2011 is my marker, of like, BC, AD. This is like,
yeah,
Kurtis's past life was 2011. I was an entrepreneur, more of a serial entrepreneur. So I had my hands in all different types of, businesses. And then 2011, I had my spiritual awakening where my entire world got flipped upside down, and then you realize, well, actually I got flipped right side up. So that awakened me to spirituality, to healing, to conspiracies, to you name it. I was, open to it at that time, which I was very closed off before. And, I started to write all of my realizations and epiphanies and these downloads that were coming into a Word document. And that ended up turning into a book. And that book was actually pretty successful. I think that's kind of how I got started on this, and, grew 50,000 Instagram followers, and it became bestseller. Oprah, Tony Robbins, Deepak, all those people, have that book in their hands. And I organically promoted it and marketed it myself. It's all about spiritual awakening. And that put me on the path. And then, on that journey, I had health complications. There was an issue with my stomach that doctors couldn't tell me what was wrong with me. They couldn't even diagnose me. And I was spending tens of thousands of dollars on just co-payments from the best doctors from LA to New York. And they couldn't fix me. I took every test under the sun, colonoscopies, endoscopies, swallowed pill cameras. I didn't even know they had pill cameras, but you swallow these cameras and it goes down your belly, all through your intestines and looks at everything. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And they couldn't find anything. And I was suffering. And it was so bad to really paint the picture of how bad it was. It was my second time checking myself into the ER at LA County Hospital. And the second time I said, cut me open, cut my stomach open, tell me what's going on. I'll sign a waiver. I just need you to go inside because you're missing it, whatever it is. And I thought it was like a stealthy, like parasite that was like hiding in like my liver or something. Because I was in India and I was in places like Thailand, and I don't know, my brain was desperate. And thank God they did not cut me open, because it was shortly after I discovered this ancient deep diaphragmatic breathing technique. And I did this session. And in one session, it completely eradicated my stomach condition and I was healed. And I could not wrap my brain around how that was even possible. Because I did ayahuasca 20 times. I've been to, the best doctors, and I was already a certified life coach, fitness professional, Reiki master, hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, and I couldn't heal myself. It was pathetic.
Right, right. When you have all of those things and all of that education and you're like, what? Well, because sometimes I think, and maybe this was the case, you were just getting in your own way, right?
Well, when doctors would tell me, it's all in my head, that would drive me the craziest,
Yeah.
because I'm like, no, I'm in pain. I'm suffering. I can't figure this thing out. And, once that breath work did it for me, I was trying to wrap my head around like how that was even possible. And then it hit me. I said, oh my God, the reason why these doctors couldn't fix me or heal me is because my issue wasn't physical, right? These Western doctors couldn't, my issue wasn't physical. It was energetic. It was emotional. And they don't know jack about that. They just give
That's
you
right.
a pill, and it'll mask it. And trust me, I'm not one of these people who are like against Western medicine. No.
Right.
If I get a cavity or I break my arm, give me the Novocaine, give me the painkiller. Like,
Absolutely. It has a purpose. It
it has a
totally
purpose.
serves a purpose for sure. Car accidents, I mean,
Yeah.
you get cut open. Yeah, sew me up. Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I'm with the blending and the marriage of those two, because I think they can synergistically work together. And once I
absolutely.
realized my issue was, energetic and emotional, and I didn't blame them because they just don't know much upon that. And I healed myself, and I was able to take all my other experiences and certifications and create Breathwork Detox, because I found a way to synthesize all of those things into one streamlined practice that was widely acceptable to everybody, even more than yoga and meditation, even though it wasn't as popular. Because you can go to somebody and be like, hey, do you do yoga? They'll be like, no, I don't do yoga. And oh, do you do meditation? No. But you can go to any person on the planet and be like, hey, do you breathe? Yeah, I breathe. So it's everyone accepts it. So it's like, okay, come into my Trojan horse, which they don't really know, because you think you just breathe, and yet it's the most profound healing modality that I've ever come across. Never mind get certified in, but I ever experienced. And I'm like, oh my God, how can something that's so simple be so profound and cathartic? And that's when I knew I had something special and I needed to share it with the world.
So, can you walk us through that process? Because it's not just breathing, and there's all sorts of, you know, take a deep breath in, hold it for 4 seconds, at the top, or breathe in for 4 seconds, hold at the top, release, there's lots of different things. I've done Kundalini yoga, which does an extreme amount of breath work. What is it that you're doing? Can you walk us through that? How it's different?
Yes. First, I'll acknowledge those modalities that you're talking about. And there's a lot of them. I won't get into all of them, but a lot of those will kind of regulate the intake of oxygen and CO2 and balances, and can get you out of, sympathetic nervous system into parasympathetic. There's a bunch of them. This technique that I teach is different than every other modality, and a couple different reasons why. One, it's more of a journey. And I look at it as like, I talk to people who used to play video games. I'm like, remember video games? They had these cheat codes, and you can press up, down, left, right, A, B, A, B. And then like Mario grows 6 feet, or like you pull out like a sword into a gun, and whatever, these crazy things happen. Well, I tell people, well, who created those video games? Humans, right? And they coded them a certain way to have these cheat codes. Well, who created humans? right? Source, God, whatever you want to believe. Well, guess what?
Right.
They coded us with a cheat code as well. And the cheat code was literally under our nose the entire time. Get it? And it's the breath. If you do this very specific breathing technique that I show you at the very specific amount of time, it's going to unlock a cheat code. And the brain goes into something called transient hypofrontality. The lungs begin to microdose something called dimethyltryptamine. And people have these mystical, profound experiences from breathing because they tapped in to this power within them that was innately, it was already there. And you hear all these gurus and be like, the answers are within. You have everything you need. And I was
But
like, oh,
it's
crap,
true.
I really do. It's not bullshit. Part of my
You
friends.
hate to hear it, but it's like, oh, it's really true.
It is, man. People are lying on their back. So there's many barriers to entry with even yoga and meditation. If you take yoga, first of all, 54% of the world's population can't bend down and touch their toes.
Right.
Second of all, there's a thing called body shaming, and it's not just in obese people. Women, people in general, they don't want to put in a leotard and go bend in all these crazy ways. So there's a little bit of barrier to entry to yoga, whereas breath work, you can be 400 pounds, handicap, obese, fully clothed, lay down on your back and go through this journey. Anybody can do it. And, even meditation, there's a bit of a barrier to entry because I think meditation is an advanced practice. Because if you try to
Well, and
get,
just a lot of people think, well, I can't calm my mind down, and that's that barrier right there. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because everyone's stressed. Like Harvard said that 60 to 90% of all doctor's visits are stress related. So if the world's stressed, if you try to get somebody who's already stressed to sit down, sit still, and don't think a thought for the next 20 minutes, like they got to get more
What
stressed
happened?
out and they're going to feel like a loser. Like, I can't do
They're
this,
like,
you know? So, breath work is like cleaning your car with a power washer, and meditation's like cleaning your car with a toothbrush. You need a deep clean. You need to do the breath work. Create a breath work practice first, because not only is it going to make meditation more effective, it's going to make it more enjoyable. And I think that's the difference between the two. And it's easier, it's simpler. It is more work, right? We call it breath work. So we have this little joke that we say, anything with work at the end in spirituality, you better be prepared. Shadow work, breath work. So it's not.
everything is a practice,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I always say happiness is a practice. It's not a destination. It's a journey. It's a practice.
Yes, I actually just heard a good quote about gratitude. It said, if you don't speak the language of gratitude, you'll never be on good speaking terms with happiness.
There you go. I love that quote.
I thought that was cute.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so yeah, it differentiates, and people will have profound cathartic experiences. At least 60 to 80% of all the people who go through my technique will cry, will have a big emotional release, which all crying is a huge energetic release. It's a huge emotional
Right.
release. And I do breath work for the most masculine men on the planet. I mean, war veterans, Navy SEALs, NFL players, prisoners, and they all cry. And my first time I did it, where I healed my stomach condition, I did the biggest, ugliest cry ever. And it's because we hold on to so much, and we don't realize it, And I tell people, sometimes it's not the weight of the baggage, but it's how you carry it. Right. And, a lot of single,
So true. So that's such an amazing quote. It's not the weight of the baggage, it's how you carry it. And when, like, men and ladies both alike, think about it. When you're going through an airport, why do we have the luggage on wheels, right? Because when you're carrying it through, it gets heavy and handbags get heavy. And yeah, I
yeah.
love that. Ooh, such yes, love that.
Yeah, and men, it's hard for them to cry. It's hard for them to express and
Oh,
be
yeah.
vulnerable. And the thing about vulnerability and things like guilt and shame is that the less you want to talk about them, the more you have them. So for men, it's really difficult. And for women, they carry the baggage well because, I just look at my mother. My mother was a single mother, and she had to raise a little boy to become a man in a crazy world. Right. There
Me.
you go.
That was me. I did it too.
So you got to be strong, and
Yep.
you learn to carry your baggage well. and we carry it, right? And we have to find ways to like let that shit go, because you let go or get dragged. Just one or the other.
It's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough.
it's tough. But I have tremendous respect for women who do what you did and what my mother did, and even me. I've been a single dad. I've been raising my daughter. She's been living with me since she was 5 years old. But man, it's different. I'm meant to go out there and hunt and kill and bring in the money and all that stuff. But women aren't meant to do that. They're not meant to go out there and hunt and kill and make the money and do all these things and raise the family. Like, that's it's not how it's supposed to be designed, but they found a way to make it work. Because humans are very resilient beings, and to a lot of respect, because it's not easy. It wasn't easy for me. How the heck is it going to be easy for, a woman to do those things as well? So we have to keep trudging. We have to keep moving along. We can't let things hold us back. And that is dangerous. It's dangerous because it ends up, we end up holding on to a lot of things because we haven't processed them. And the mind will always wants to look into the future. The soul wants to be present, but the body will hold on to the past. And if we don't have the time or the energy or the emotional intelligence when something happens, that it'll just get stored in our body, and our bodies become living libraries of trauma. And as they say, the body keeps score. And if we don't find ways to let this stuff go, it will wreak havoc on our nervous system, and we won't feel comfortable in our own bodies.
Right, right. So in this breath technique that you teach, you're laying on your back. Now, obviously, we don't have time to go through the whole thing, but can you just briefly tell us kind of what that entails?
Yes, very simple. Lying on your back, I teach them a 3-part breath. It's 2 breaths in, 1 breath out, deep into the diaphragm, into the chest, and just let it go and go right back into it. No pause, no rest, no hesitation. And we're playing music. It's very like motivational music in the beginning, and then it tapers down into more like from yang to yin. And it's a beautiful journey. And then there's like affirmations at the end. It's a very all-encompassing modality. And and in my process of teaching it, I'm also using motivational messages, NLP, and if it's in person, we're using Reiki. So it's like the whole kit and caboodle, because people don't have time. Like I have this belief that we don't have enough time, and it's just over in a blip. So you can't do every single yoga. You can't do all these mantras and meditations and eat all these supplements. There's just too much stuff out there. So I think people have to do what I did. And you have to look and see, okay, where can I habit stack and where can I focus my time and energy on only the things that move the needle in my life? And what I love about breath work is, unlike yoga and meditation, the results are immediate and undeniable from only one session. And I think because we live in that microwave society, people want to see results, and they want to see results fast. And it's usually unrealistic and unattainable to just like go to the gym one day and next thing you know, you got bulging biceps and 6-pack. It's not going to happen unless you go Photoshop. Right. So with breath work, it's that like unicorn. You can go to one session and completely radically transform your life. I've never experienced anything like that, but ayahuasca. Nothing.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be the new wave. I think this is just the beginning. Statistics are showing that, if we wanted to geek out and look at breathwork, Google searches spiked 400%. Our teacher trainings are blowing up. And I think that's where I decided to put my energy. I'm like, I'm only one person. And if I can teach people exactly how to teach this modality, well, then now I can impact the world more, because I can create more of me, and I could do it internationally, and then they can go help people, and then they can go help people. So that's where I landed with my time is, maintaining the vision for the company, working with big organizations and corporations like Nike, NASA, and then training people. I think that's where I can make the most impact.
So how many times, I mean, is this something that people ought to do multiple times a day, multiple times a week? Like, what is the regimen that you recommend for even if they don't work with you or go to a
Yeah.
like let's just say just start doing some breath work? What would you recommend in the beginning?
Great question. Well, in breath work in general, just being conscious and aware of your breath um, is an exercise in itself. If we're talking about breathwork detox specifically, what I love about this practice is you can take somebody who's been meditating for 2 years, doing yoga and meditation, and you get somebody who's doing breathwork twice a month, and they'll have more progress within, let's say, two to 3 months than that person would have in 2 to 3 years of doing both of those, yoga and meditation. And I know this because I've done yoga and meditation. I did Bikram almost every single day for 7 years, and then just tapered out of that. So if you can just do this practice once every other week, you'll notice profound results. Now, we do have something called the Breakfast Club, where we do breath work every single morning, 6 a.m. Every single morning, I get a different facilitator, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it's only like 8 to 12 minutes of breath work. You're just tapping in. It's the maintenance. The ones that I do every new moon and full moon are the deep dives, right? So you're doing the active breath work for like about 28 minutes. Those are the deep dives. Those are like the big releases. And then we have the Breakfast Club just for the maintenance, so people can stay tapped in, because this breath work, it induces clarity. Like anything I've ever experienced, which is actually the number one reason I like it. It has about 3 other main reasons what makes it amazing, but that's the one that I like because I value clarity, because I've been confused before, and confusion is temporary insanity. I don't like it, you know. So I like being clear, and I love what Tony Robbins said. They asked Tony, "Hey, Tony, like you have all this energy, like where do you get your motivation from?" He says, "I don't need motivation." He goes, "My vision is so clear that it pulls me towards my goals." And clarity is crucial.
Yeah, yeah. So you talked a little bit about what breathing does, but can you dive into the science behind how breath work lowers your stress, provides clarity? Because it's putting oxygen in your brain. I don't know all the scientific terminology, but it's doing something up here.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that it does. Let's just take stress, for example. So one, when we're stressed, the adrenals create cortisol. Cortisol makes us feel like crappy, and a good amount is necessary, but too much of it, it not only makes us feel really crappy and also messes with our nervous system, but it also makes us crave sugary and crappy foods. It'll actually just make us gain weight. So when we do the breath work, it drastically reduces the stress, which reduces the cortisol, which makes you feel better, more present, more in parasympathetic, rest and digest, not in fight or flight. And also it'll help you lose weight, we've noticed, because it will cut down on the those cravings that you want. We actually call it the guilt-free weight loss program. It sounds like this like new miracle pill, but we had people actually losing weight, and trust me, that's not my intention. Never was my intention. And I was like, why are people losing weight? Literally sending us pictures of like their waistline, and I'm like, I didn't know. You think you know everything, but you really don't know. And then I started doing the research, and I was like, oh wow, well, the cortisol, and then that guilt-free weight loss program, but then 70% of the body's toxins are released through the lungs. So everyone's detoxing, right? Detox T's, detox S. 70% of the body's toxins are through the lungs, and then 8.5 out of every 10 pounds of weight loss is through breath work, is through carbon dioxide, not through other forms of secretion like we think. So 85% of all weight loss is carbon dioxide. I didn't know that. That sounds crazy, you know?
So could that be because we know that working out is, you don't really work out to lose weight, right? It'll help. But would that explain for some of the success that people have found because of the breathing that's entailed in working out? Is there any correlation there?
I want to say no, right? It's not my, weight loss is not I'm not here preaching weight loss. I'm
Right,
just
right.
fascinated of how multifaceted breath work is, and what it does. Cause I didn't know 70% of the body's toxins were released to the lungs. And these are things I found out when I was actually writing the book. Cause when you're teaching something, you're actually learning twice.
That's
That's
right.
why I love writing books. But no, because this is different. I even tell people when we're doing the breath work, I say, hey, listen, weird things are going to happen when you're breathing, and you might be cold because breath work actually lowers your body temperature, but then you might be sweating 5 minutes later, and your sweating is not like sweating like you're running a marathon. You're sweating out old emotions, past, exes, past lives, all types of weird stuff. And it's a way deep, more cathartic uh, sweat. And I don't think when you're running on a treadmill, you're losing weight for that. Maybe I'm not sure, but I feel with breath work, right? It's sometimes the weight that you need to lose isn't on your physical body. And I think
Mm,
when you release those energetic blockages and emotions, and you're doing deep diaphragmatic breathing, your metabolism will improve, right? And all these things happen. So I'm pretty sure there'll be some radical studies that will come out, about these things. And, I'll be the first to, check them out and, and read them. But my intention for breathwork is just to make people feel better.
right.
I think that's what brought me to it. I just wanted to feel comfortable in my own body.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you cleared that up because I know when I trained for 1 year, well, it was actually probably 2 years of training, but I ran the Marine Corps Marathon. I actually gained weight.
No.
So I always, and then I lost weight. And I'll just share this quick story because I think it's important to this conversation because you were just talking about how when blockages are released, a lot of times we're holding on weight energetically and not physically. Um, I lost 25 pounds in it was about 6 months. Zero exercise, was just reducing caloric intake. Um, but what had happened is that I was dating my now husband. I had a lot of baggage that I brought to our relationship that I wasn't even aware of, right? I was in a 21-year marriage prior, right?
Mm.
And I've always been very, very thin. And I think that now, hindsight's 2020, I had put that weight on as a protection mechanism, right? And my husband helped me. He guided me because I felt safe and secure to heal my heart. And once that I started feeling that, the weight just started coming off. Now I did change my eating habits,
Yeah.
but I've kept it off now for 10 years.
Yeah. And you change
Yeah,
the eating habits is something that goes along with it when you start to care
right,
about yourself, when you start to forgive
right,
yourself. And self-love and self-care is not selfish. And I think
right.
when somebody goes through something, you nailed it, what you just shared, is when someone's going through something, our stomach is our emotional center. And
Yes.
all
It's
of
a
our
brain. It's a brain in and of itself.
Yes, and what happens is when we go through something, we'll subconsciously put more fat around the hips and the belly as a subconscious protection mechanism so people can't see our vulnerability. And a lot of that energetic baggage, we gain physical, weight around our belly. And your husband giving you that safe space, right, to heal and be yourself, and let you're lovely and beautiful, was the trigger that allowed that stuff to start melting off. And then you're like, wait, yeah, I do love myself, I do this now, let me start eating good. And it's all connected. And I think that's what people got to understand, that everything is connected to everything else,
Right.
nothing separate, and you hear this phrase, how you do anything is how you do everything. And
How you do? Ah, yeah, right.
it's like, but it's all connected. Like, even like, there's this really cool post I seen on TikTok, but it's like, if the bees were to die, then this wouldn't pollinate, then this would, and the world would end if the bees were gone. It's like, whoa, everything's connected like that much. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like it's really like the our source, our creator, masterfully, you know, created this planet and this world, so everything works together. The oceans, the tides, the winds. It's quite miraculous. It's hard
It
for our
really
little
is.
3-pound brains to understand all this stuff.
It is. And I had a guest recently say, and I'll repeat this because I've been using it all the time. And I apologize for whomever said this because I want to give the person credit and I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was a male. And he said, we're all branches of the same
Mm,
tree trunk.
yes. Good
And
one.
I love that
Yeah.
because we really are. We're all connected to the same tree trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Whoever you are, shout out to you.
I know it was great. It was great. I could figure it out really quickly, but I won't. But so Kurtis, this has been such an incredible conversation, and I absolutely love everything you're doing. How can people learn more about you? Do some of your either take your teacher training or participate. And I'm guessing that it's a group. Do you do group breathwork sessions?
Yeah. 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 So I actually
Yes.
do,
Yeah.
I'll do virtual sessions every 2 weeks. So every new moon, full moon, like clockwork, I'll do one. And if somebody wants to do that, well, there's two things they could do. One, they can go on breathworkdetox.com. And when they go on breathworkdetox.com and they'll see a link for the virtual event, I actually created a podcast code for your guests. They can get 50% off if they want to just try it. And the code is podcast50.
Yeah.
And that's if they want to try it. And if they want to become a teacher and they're interested in getting, certified in this, we're certifying a lot of counselors, therapists, life coaches, nurses, all different types of people. And we do free consultation. So we'll get on a call with you, we'll answer all your questions, and see how you can synthesize this into your own business. And that's all on breathworkdetox.com. Now, if somebody just wants to connect with me, I think the best way would be on Instagram. So man from the stars, just go on Instagram, type in man from the stars. And I'm pretty good. Even if you send me a message, I tend to get back to people within, 48, 72 hours.
Awesome. Awesome. Man from the stars. I love that. Um, yeah, I mean the training part of it I think would be really phenomenal also for like anybody who's a fitness trainer, working with athletes, other athletic coaches. Like this is all something that is so valuable. I
Yeah.
just say that because I'm an athlete and I work with athletes and things like that. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. We trained a couple NFL players, and a lot of people are opening up to this. They're seeing that it's very easy to teach, but the results are profound. And I think every coach out there wants to provide their clients with results.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, for sure. All right, Kurtis, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for your time. And I hope that you and your family are happy and safe and that your lives are filled with peace, joy, and happiness. Take care, everyone.